Welcome to Let's Talk Adoption, where we dive into every side of the adoption story, the heart, the hope, and sometimes the humor.
I'm Kim, and today's episode is for all of our adoptive parents. Whether you're celebrating your first Christmas with your child, waiting to be chosen, or walking through a season of longing and hope, Christmas can be a beautiful season of joy, family, and celebration. And it can also bring deep emotions for those navigating fertility challenges or the adoption journey. I'm so thrilled to welcome back a listener favorite, MaryAnne Budden. She is an adoptive mom and the creator of the blog Openly Parenting at openlyparenting.com. We'll link it on the show page. You can also find her Instagram at Openly Parenting, sharing encouragement, adoption education, and teachable moments from her adoption journey. And we are going to share some of those moments with you today. MaryAnne, welcome back and Merry
Merry
Christmas.
Christmas. Thank you so much for having me again.
I'm so happy that we could squeeze this into the bustling season.
Absolutely.
So, Marianne, I'd love to go start by going back to those early years. What did Christmas feel like for you when you were still trying to figure out your next steps and like even before you actively started the adoption? You were walking through, maybe some fertility challenges. What was that like? Because there are people listening to an adoption podcast such as Let's Talk Adoption who are not over the bridge yet of deciding
Mhm.
adoption is the best next step for them. So what was that like for you, especially around the holidays?
So we went through infertility as well, so definitely well versed with that. It's just hard in all aspects of that process when you're trying to get pregnant or you're waiting for a child is you have all these mixed emotions. There's longing and there's jealousy if you've got people during the holidays who have little ones that you're wanting that and then you feel guilty for wanting that and you're not super happy and ecstatic to be in the moment surrounded by all of that. I know that there was Christmas cards that got sent out and they would be, talking about the new baby they brought home or all the little ones and you were just kind of frustrated or discouraged. And so it holidays are hard when all of that's in your face and it's frustrating. And so you want to be present and you want to enjoy the holidays with family, but you do have those kind of internal feelings you're battling with as well.
Right. And sometimes those moments are privately in the house. You're the only one
Hmm.
there and you're opening Christmas cards or looking through
Hmm.
the mail. But sometimes it can like blindside you in front of other people too.
Yeah, there's definitely like we had one I think it was actually Thanksgiving. We had one year where somebody announced that they were pregnant, that there was going to be another baby at the table next year. And it's hard. You want to be so excited for them and you put on that face, but I do remember excusing myself to the bathroom and I knew they knew we were trying, and so there's just a frustration of like I don't want you to know that I'm upset. I want to be happy for you in this moment, but this really sucks to hear right now when we've been trying and somebody else is pregnant now.
Yes, and I think that I'm so glad you're saying this out loud on the
Mhm.
podcast because
Mhm.
I can bet a lot of the people listening have had those moments, and it's so good to know like you're not alone in that,
Right.
and those mixed feelings of wanting to be so happy for someone else's joy and their celebration, but also not having your own need met, you
Mhm.
know, the calling
Yeah.
on your heart hasn't come to fruition yet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, it's
So,
it's a hard it's hard to go through it and I'm somebody who I don't want people to know when I'm upset. I mean, I think most people, but
yeah.
I really really don't want you to know I'm upset. I'm happy for you. Like, please don't acknowledge the fact that you know I'm upset. Please don't acknowledge the fact that you probably can guess that I left the table for to cry and
Yeah.
and so I want to be happy for you, but I need my moment. And my husband went off, or I could squeeze his hand under the table and he knew exactly what I was thinking of, like,
Mm,
ugh, another pregnancy announcement. So it's hard. It's really, really hard. Holidays are a fun time and it's a great time to get together with family and great food, but those internal feelings are real and you do feel very alone in it.
And this was even before to actively pursue adoption, right? This
Mm.
particular moment. So you
Yeah.
didn't even know what your next path was going to be.
Yeah,
You didn't even
exactly.
have that recipe to follow. Like there's something that renews you, I think, when you come into adoption because now you have steps to follow and it's
Hmm.
no longer so much weighing on conceiving or
Hmm.
an infertility treatment having the
Hmm.
right outcome.
Yeah.
That's a lot of pressure, and usually it's on the wife, right? And there's
Yeah.
like all these hormonal things going on too. And
Yeah.
then coming into adoption, so many adoptive parents have said, it's like a breath of fresh air that like that pressure of like trying to conceive and monitoring every month and going to those appointments and waiting for the test results, that is lifted. We're starting a new chapter. We're now able
Hmm.
to take action steps like work on a home study, work on our profile, have communication with our agency, listen to webinars, get educated about the adoption process and talk with other adoptive parents and look forward to something and know that we had those action steps to go through. But you didn't even have that in that moment.
Hmm.
So I think that's just so important to acknowledge that someone could be there right now and they could
Yeah.
have just had that moment at their Thanksgiving or that could pop up,
Hmm.
Christmas Eve. So I'm
Yeah.
glad that you're sharing this with us. Were there any certain Christmas traditions or family gatherings that were especially hard? I know so much of the holidays is just based around children and when you're
Hmm.
not even a mom yet yourself, but you've been trying and so ready.
Hmm.
Was there anything that was particularly hard during that season?
I think honestly, what was hard is, I mean, when the kids are opening it, you're excited to see them open it, and it's fun to watch their faces. Buying the presents for the little kids was hard because you so badly want to be buying those presents for your own children. And then
Hmm.
also just Christmas morning when it's just the two of us. Like it just
Yeah.
feels, it doesn't like when you think of Christmas, when you think of those holidays, you think of being surrounded by friends and family. And so when you wake up and it's just the two of you, you're kind of like we can still do our gift and exchange and be appreciative, and then we'll go on to all the other festivities, to our parents' house or whatever. But there is just that kind of like calm emptiness. It doesn't feel like a real family thing in the morning when it's just the two of you. And so that's difficult. It's just kind of that quiet.
Absolutely. And I think people say, well, enjoy it because
Hmm.
once a baby comes home, everything will change and you'll miss those moments. But when you're waiting for a baby and you've been trying, and
Hmm.
especially once you are on the path to adoption, you've been enjoying yourself. Like
Hmm.
for too long. You're waiting, you're wanting to close that chapter and have that, that chaotic Christmas morning or, that sweet Christmas morning with your new baby and it's their first Christmas and decorating the tree and putting that first Christmas ornament on to commemorate baby's first Christmas and buy those Christmas outfits and everything.
Hmm.
Like I can just imagine like going through Target when you're headed to the toddler toy aisle, but you have to pass all the baby
Hmm.
outfits first.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
mean,
And
to touch on that, like when people say enjoy it, that is so not helpful. But at the same time, if I had to go back and like talk to my or younger self, I guess, it being
yeah.
intentional about taking advantage of that time. Like we were so invested in the waiting game. We had canceled trips because we might get a call, or we were so invested in that we did pass up opportunities of like, hey, let's go skiing this weekend, or hey, let's go find this Airbnb and go do something that we won't be able to do, and intentionally taking advantage of that time as much as you are internally rolling your eyes and not like you'd much rather be holding a baby. But do try your best to enjoy it or at least distract yourself. Those comments aren't helpful, but we spent so much time focusing on the waiting game that I wish we had gone back and uh, taken advantage of that time and been more intentional about like we're gonna enjoy it if it's the last thing we do.
Yeah, I mean, and yeah, I think that's good to point out because that deals with faith, right?
Hmm.
But in that moment, it's hard.
It is. It's so
So,
hard, and it's not a helpful comment.
and you don't know how your story is going to end.
Mm-mm.
You don't know that for a fact. So, having the faith that God's going to work it all out and that you
Hmm.
are going to be taking the steps, maybe someone listening now can say, God has a plan and
Hmm.
we are following the steps. We're building the vessel for the blessing to flow into. And so now that can free you to
Hmm.
enjoy where you are in the moment.
Yeah. And it's
And
so
I've
much easier said than done, but it is,
right.
it is what you need to kind of, you need an
Mhm.
internal mantra, whether you believe it or not, that you keep just kind of saying over and over again, until you believe it.
Yeah, and well, and that's the next thing I wanted to ask. Was there anything that you did to help keep that hope alive or just get through the holiday season when your heart felt so heavy?
I mean, I think the best thing that when I was able to do it was to just pull myself to the present of like, we're not thinking about that. We're not thinking about tomorrow. We're not thinking about if we're going to get a call in a month. We're going to focus on, oh, my niece is telling this story, or, oh, my dad, is doing this. We're going to focus on what's happening right now and trying to bring yourself present. And yeah, just being with that, trying to take in the jokes and the food, and not focus on the waiting game.
I like that you pointed that out, those moments where, like the specific examples you gave, because what I hear in that, the thread that runs through that is that you were making it about others,
Yeah.
right? Instead of it being like, there's this unspoken thing that hasn't happened for us, and we don't want to
Hmm.
dwell on that right now. We don't want to dwell on it. But the more you don't want to dwell, the more you
Hmm.
do.
Yeah.
And then it's like, don't think about, a red car. And then
Mhm.
you're like, red car, don't think about it, don't think about it, right? But
Yeah.
then if you're like, well, let's focus our energy outward.
Like,
Yeah.
give yourself space to feel all those feelings,
Yeah.
guilt free, and then when you head off to all the festivities, I'm going to be present. I'm going to partake in these conversations. I'm going to watch the little kids giggle and remember all those little things that I did when I was younger. And, you're going to be present now. You had your time to, kind of grieve, and now we got to be here.
Yep, yep. And some ways that I think will help, getting some of the feeling out when you're at home before you go to the thing, or the night before, or maybe that night when you come home and let your hair
Hmm.
down, is listening to praise and worship music and just letting it out.
Hmm. Yeah.
Right? You can go on iTunes and just put in, praise and worship, and it'll give you a whole playlist of like the current songs. And they are so, so, so good. So good.
Yeah.
And put your favorite ones on repeat, make your own playlist, and it's so powerful. And then the other thing is journaling. And I know everyone says journaling, but for me, journaling is so powerful because all the thoughts, all the poignant phrasing that are going in around in my mind that maybe aren't the best thing to say out loud, I have to write it down or I'll say it,
Yeah.
right? So I
Yeah.
get it out, and I get to know like there is a record of me feeling that way.
Yeah.
That way, I don't need to like have someone else be the record of.
Yeah.
and
Well, and
and
I'm a
support
fan
is
of
good
rage
too, but
letters.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
it's a journal thing, but like, and it doesn't have to be
yeah.
at somebody. It can be at, like, you can be mad at your own body for not conceiving. You can be mad at whatever it is that you're frustrated that you just go off, and there's no guilt for having these emotions and then burning it, throwing it away, doing something with it to kind of release it. But I'm a journaler. That's kind of how I process it, and then I recognize, like, oh, this is hitting underlying feelings I didn't even realize that, like, on the surface it's about one thing, and then as you kind of unleash, you're like, oh, it's also hitting these two other trigger points that are bothering me.
That's so good. I like that you said rage. You're like a fan of rage letters.
I do it when the moment strikes right. Like, you have to be in that place to, like, you're already upset, and so you're like, all right, I'm going to unleash on this piece of paper. But it is nice to be able to kind of unleash, whether it's at an actual person or an arbitrary thing, but that you can just kind of go, I'm frustrated.
When sometimes those moments come to me is like when I'm in the laundry room folding laundry and I'll literally get up and go write it down.
Yeah.
Because sometimes the things are just so savage. I don't want
Hmm.
that to go to another person. I just need to
Right.
get it out.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, so let's go ahead to the next chapter. We kind of have like three segments here: before you're adopting, while you're waiting to
Hmm.
adopt, and then after you adopt. So our second segment here is waiting to be chosen. Christmas
Hmm.
during the adoption wait. So let's move to that season when you were officially waiting. Your profile is done, your home study is done, all the checklists are done, and you're praying for a birth mom to choose you. What was it like to go through Christmas while you're expecting to
Hmm.
be chosen, you're waiting, you're hoping, you have faith that you'll be
Yeah.
chosen and have a baby
Well,
through
there
adoption.
is a renewed energy, like you already stated, of this new hope, new chapter. And when you're going through all the hoops of the profile and everything, you feel a sense of control and you're super optimistic. Once you're just waiting, there's kind of mixed emotions. There's, this might be our last Christmas without a child, and like you're kind of excited about what the following year is going to bring. But at the same time, you're also powerless. Like there's nothing else to do. There's no home study to conduct. There's no background check to conduct. And so you're just kind of a sitting duck waiting for the phone call. And that is once again one of those things where like you're gonna have to bring yourself back to the present, because it can be frustrating and it can be like, why haven't we gotten a call yet? And you want that baby there at that holiday. So there's those mixed emotions of frustration, and you're still waiting. But then there's also that like optimism and that hope of like, this might be our last Christmas. Like we get to
Yeah,
enjoy this and soak it in. And like this is when I watch my niece open these gifts and I watch my nephew get excited about this, like, we're gonna get to be part of that next year with our own child. And so you're a lot more optimistic, but there is still some frustration still under all of that.
there is. And I think especially for adoptive parents and just, working at Lifetime Adoption, the agency, for me, it feels like to me that everyone who's waiting to adopt is revolving entirely around their wait to adopt, even at
Hmm.
Christmas.
Hmm.
And that can be really, really heavy to carry, right?
Hmm.
Just the whole season is revolving around the fact that the adoption hasn't happened yet. And then we can forget, like, well, let's celebrate the actual reason for
Yeah.
Christmas, that God sent his son as a baby into this dark, dark world to change everything. If we can really compare and contrast the way the world was before his Jesus's birth and to how that changed everything very personally for us, if you can really get into that, I think it helps us remember
Hmm.
what the season is for and get away a little bit from, like, distance ourselves a little bit from the Christmas is all about children opening presents and,
Hmm.
everything, because that hurts, right? When you
Yeah.
don't have that. Yeah.
Yeah. I
And
mean, you
maybe just going
definitely
back to
miss.
basics.
Yeah, you definitely miss those little moments and you miss those, little details when you're not focused on that. Um, One of the other challenges, I guess, when you're waiting, I mean, also when you're waiting to conceive, but is are comments that people, they want to be helpful, they want to be reassuring, they want to be supportive, and that sentiment's not lost, but saying, oh, you could have a child next year or any day now, or, it just feels like there's added pressure. Like, I understand you're trying to basically say, like, hey, don't worry about it, but I am worried about it. I want this. And so to put that pressure of trying to get that child by next year or trying to, I don't know, those comments just add a layer of pressure that aren't appreciated. I appreciate the support. I appreciate you trying to be kind of optimistic, but I'm still personally kind of wanting this child, and I'm already working really hard at being happy and being in the moment and appreciating all of the moments and the purpose of the holidays. And so telling me it's going to happen any day now, like, okay, thanks. I know I'm trying. So some of those comments they're well, they mean well, but they're not as helpful as they are intended to be.
They definitely mean well. And I think also the questions. The
Hmm.
questions, they want to know too, has anything happened yet?
Yes,
Any
all
news
of the
yet?
time.
Any updates? Has your agency given you a status report? Is there a birth mom getting close? And I think it's good to prep your support group, anyone who knows your adoption and that you're adopting and is praying for you and is in your circle that you're updating, just to remind them, hey, we're going to be, like, from the beginning, whenever there are updates, we're going to be
Exactly.
definitely sharing
You
them.
will know when there's some update. Like, I promise you, you will know. The hey, has anything happened? Nope, not yet. Like, it, It's a
It's
constant
I
reminder,
hate
and
that.
it
Yeah.
is the most common question year round. Have you heard anything? Have you gotten a call? And it's a double-edged sword that if you heard something and you weren't chosen, it would be frustrating. And if you haven't heard anything, it's frustrating. So you're like, I'll let you know. We can talk about any updates when there are updates to give.
So maybe we can think of some things that you would want said to you, such as, hey, I know this can be kind of a hard time. We're praying for you. You've been on my heart.
I
Like, what
think
could,
I think that's helpful in the right circumstance.
yeah, might
Once
make you
again, I'm
cry if
somebody
it's,
who exactly like I'm somebody like when I don't want you to know I'm upset, I don't want to talk about it.
yeah.
I attended my sister-in-law's baby shower when we were trying, and she had sent me a text after the fact of like, I know what it's like to go to a baby shower when you're wanting to get pregnant, and like I appreciate you showing up, and I know it's hard. Like that was very much appreciated, and it wasn't in the midst of being around everybody because that 100% would have made me cry. And
Mhm.
so while the whole family is gathering to have somebody say like, "Hey, we just want you to know that we're praying for you," you're like, "Can we talk about this later on the side?"
Yeah,
So I think
yeah.
when there's a time for like one-on-one opportunity to mention that, I think when um I do think having the acknowledgement of like we know this is hard is always nice to hear because you feel less alone. And I think just like, hey, we're really glad you're here, or like, oh, the kids loved your gift, like just bringing you back to we're happy that you're here. The kids appreciate what you've put through. We appreciate you showing up. Like those are all really, really helpful versus focusing on the adoption itself. Like focus on the fact that we're here and we're showing up for you despite
Mhm,
any of the turmoil underneath.
mhm. And I think that you can prepare also maybe some one-liners
Hmm.
to give back, some lighthearted, witty remarks to give back, or just get really good at changing the subject.
Yeah.
Like if your Uncle Fred, who has zero emotional intelligence, his
Hmm.
thermometer for reading the room is like broken for the last 30 years.
Yeah.
He's a loving guy. He's always there for the family, but he just blurts things out without reading the room. And right
Yeah.
in the middle of everyone passing the food around or enjoying the meal, he's like, "Hey, aren't you guys adopting?"
Yeah.
It can, and yeah, it'll happen when God says it'll happen. It's all in God's hands,
Yeah.
and then pass the peas, like Marty Caldwell always says, our founder of
Yeah.
Lifetime, the original
I'm a
host.
master of subject changing, and if I know it's going to need to happen, sometimes I will come up with like a thread of thought of like, so if somebody asks me about adoption, I might say like, yeah, we haven't heard anything. Oh, who did adopt, and then like bring up a celebrity name, or like, oh,
Yeah.
did you hear about the pandas at the zoo that had a baby? Like, just it looks like a natural train of thought. It doesn't look like you're changing the subject, but you do have
Yeah.
like a, yep, we're not going to talk about that.
Right, right. I love that, having those threads already planned out. And sometimes people can get really good at kind of turning the focus back around on the person. Like when
Hmm.
they ask you, how's the adoption going? Well, it's going. We're waiting on the Lord. And how's your XYZ
Yeah.
going?
Yep.
Yeah, kind of flipping it back because, people love to talk about themselves and they might not even notice that you didn't give a lot of depth to the question.
Right. Absolutely. I'm also
Yeah.
one who likes to cope with like dark humor, so I'll always offer some sort of sarcastic quip or joke back,
Uh,
and self-deprecating humor like let's move along.
yeah. Well, I think that's a good skill to have in a situation like this.
Yeah.
Another thing that you can do during this season is also just staying really super, super busy. Like,
Hmm.
no sitting around on evenings with nothing to do,
Hmm.
thinking all the and I'm not saying don't process your feelings,
Hmm.
but sometimes it can be really helpful when it's a temporary hard season
Hmm.
to just get really booked. Like
Yes.
find out where you can volunteer, find out what friends you can get together with, find out, be doing things like make a list, be kind of reminiscent of the home study. You felt really good when you're
Yeah.
going through a checklist, right?
Yeah.
Get a checklist, feel really good about it. Doing baking cookies up a storm, playing the happiest music, bringing them all to the neighbors, whether they're going to eat them or not.
Right. Well, that kind of goes back along the lines of too of like being intentional of taking this time. Like,
Yeah.
go get an Airbnb in the mountains, go skiing, go like fill up that schedule, and then also fill it up with things that you wouldn't be able to do if you had a child. Like,
Hmm.
really, really be kind of intentional of we're going to take advantage of this time. If it kills us, we're going to enjoy the season. like we're gonna have all this fun. Yeah, it definitely aligns with that intentionality.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think not being afraid to do some of the goofy things too. Some of the silly things like maybe you do a weird Christmas sock exchange with your friends. You can get
Yeah.
socks anywhere. They're
Yeah.
like a couple bucks,
Yeah.
not a big burden. And that could be kind of a fun thing to do. Or we were talking about how we're not really big fans of ugly sweaters because we want things to be pretty and cute.
Yeah. Yeah.
But maybe you decorate ugly sweaters with crazy things,
Yep.
this year. And maybe you just get outside the box a little bit, especially if you tend to be kind of reserved.
Hmm.
It's good to kind of break out of that box a little bit, especially in
Yeah.
a time like this.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
watch all your favorite movies. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
now on to the third segment here in our podcast today. After adoption, it's a new kind of Christmas. How has Christmas changed for your family now that you've been able to bring your child home ever since then?
I mean, it's just there's a lightness to it. You feel lighter, you're happier. There's that sense of family. It's no longer just the two of you on Christmas morning. You kind of get to do all the things you did when you were younger that you wanted to share with your child. You don't have to brace yourself for the awkward questions of when is the child and have you heard anything? Like, you get to
Yeah.
do all the things you wanted to do and have them open their first presents. And it's just, you're you're excited to show off your child. You're excited to be able to just like, we made it, we crossed that finish line, and now we get to kind of have what we've been envisioning for a long time.
Hmm. That made me think of like the things you look forward to when you're hoping to adopt, and now you're finally getting to do all those things. It makes me think of Easter and Christmas on Sunday morning, dads holding their baby girls with those
Hmm.
really frilly Christmas dresses and parading so proudly through
Hmm.
church with their
Yeah.
baby girl in her Christmas or Easter dress, both same thing. I just
Yeah.
love that. I just love that so much. Um, well, what Christmas traditions have you created now that you're parenting? And, are there any traditions related to your daughter's adoption story? I know that might be yay or nay, but,
Yeah.
what are
I
the
mean,
traditions like?
I don't think we have any specific adoption related traditions. We've passed down some of our favorite traditions. We when I was growing up, there was one Santa gift. Like, all the other presents were from mom and dad or whomever, but there was one kind of big Santa gift that you wanted that was unwrapped. And so you'd come down and see the Christmas tree all lit up, and you'd see your present on display. And so we've done that, where there's that one Santa gift. And when we do that, I will make sure to film it. And so, not only for my own personal reasons, but so that I can then also send it to her birth mom, so that her birth mom can kind of be included in the like Christmas morning excitement. We do a lot of the cliche things, decorating cookies and Christmas lights. We don't have anything specific that pertains to the adoption. I think if she got older and was like, hey, I want to do stuff that my birth family did, we might like reach out to her birth mom and be like, hey, what's your favorite food to eat at the holidays that we can incorporate on our table or stuff like that. But we don't really have any of that right now. We use the Marco Polo app. And so it's like, for people who don't know it, it's like you can FaceTime, but at your convenience. So you're just sending video messages back and forth. So like when we were decorating the tree this year, I just left Marco Polo on. And so she got like a 10-minute video of us decorating the tree. So she got to be part of it, and she could do it when it was convenient for her, when she had time to watch the video. And there was also no pressure to carry a conversation or be on. She could just be there and see us decorating the tree. We did this with Halloween with carving pumpkins as well, of like she gets to just be part of those festivities. And then I'll also videotape when she's opening presents from her birth mom so that her birth mom can see the reaction of, oh my gosh, you got me this, and the excitement. And sometimes I get a little nervous because she is 7 now and they're kind of like, okay, what's next? And you're like, no, you need to be excited. You need to show them how happy you are for this so that they can be like all happy that you're happy. Like you need to and slow down. But she's 7, so.
So cute. And I think that's totally normal, whether it was an aunt from far away that sent a gift or the birth mom that the child is like, thank you, and then on to the next thing.
Yeah.
No, but it's so genius that you're doing those videos and the longer videos, the 10 minutes of the Christmas tree decorating, and not just like, hey, Merry Christmas, and that's it. But and like you said, nobody has to be on.
Right.
It's just she gets to open that when she wants to and watch as much as she wants, and it's all. I love that idea, and the fact that it's on Marco Polo. It's like when she feels good about it and when she has some privacy to do that, or if she watches with the rest of the family. Either way, I love that. That is genius, and I'm always excited to hear how families are using technology and the options that we have, like social media and all the apps that we have, how that is changing how easy open adoption can be.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and we have a good relationship, so we can FaceTime, but there still is this like added pressure to carry the conversation and fill. I'm somebody who needs to fill in the quiet spaces. I struggle with those pauses, and so by just doing Marco Polo, then there's none of that. Of this is what I have to say, and then if you have something to say back, great. If not, then you watched the video. And she has like thanked us for like thank you for including me and letting me be a part of this. It's not just here's a picture with her decorated gingerbread house. Like you got to watch her build it and watch her make a mess and lick the icing off her fingers, and so she gets to be kind of part of that.
Yeah, and I love that you said maybe as she gets a little older, maybe she might want to know what are the traditions from the birth family, from the birth mom. Maybe that can be something adoptive parents can plan to ask even while they're in the match phase, if they have a chance to get to know and interact with birth mom leading up to the birth, or even sitting around at the hospital, together. You could say like, hey, when it comes to Christmas, what are your traditions? What are your memories that you have from growing up? Like, was there something special you did with stockings, or, the Santa gift, or was there a special story you would read at night, or a song? What's your favorite Christmas song, or like your favorite Christmas cookie, or something like that? Because those could be things you could easily incorporate into the season to, just include that heritage too. I like that you are planning to, if she wants to do that in the future, and you have the open connection. So birth mom is right there. You could ask her anything, anytime you want, which is such a benefit of open adoption.
Well, I've done a lot of learning, and that's one of the things that I've become so passionate about, is trying to help educate people who haven't been through this, because you're so focused on the process and then you're like, well, I had no idea how to navigate the aftermath. So I've done a lot of learning, and I've heard from a lot of adoptees where they, have felt like they wish they knew these traditions, or there is some grief at the table of like, these are all of your traditions, but I still am missing that component. And so I'm cognizant of it. And I am, if she wants to know that when she's older, I do recognize that there are some adoptees who are completely content and like, I didn't need that. I'm fine. And the holidays were great. But I also recognize there is a chance that she might go, well, I would have liked to know what my, the traditions would have been with my biological family. And so I'm not forcing anything one way or the other, but I am cognizant that those might come up. And so I do think having a conversation with the birth family before any of it does is a great way to just get ahead of it. I didn't know that at the time.
Yeah, I would have never thought of that until we just started talking about it today.
Yeah.
Like, what's your favorite Christmas song?
Yeah.
Or what's your favorite Christmas movie? These are fun things to just even know, to just put in a scrapbook or something.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, so when it comes to, you mentioned your daughter opening gifts from the birth family and everything, tell us a little bit about how you manage that, because people right off the bat might be like, wait, she knows where you live? Like she has your address? How does that all work?
So, oh man, there's multiple dynamics to it. So we got comfortable. I mean, when we first interacted with the birth family, we, went to their house and met them. And so we got comfortable pretty quickly. And when she was placed with us, they brought her and a lot of her stuff, because we got my daughter at 6.5 months. So they brought her to our house and brought her things. And so like out of the gate, they knew where we lived. And so it was just never something we really thought about. So they do have our address and they will mail presents. That has been a place that we've had to walk a fine line, in that some family members want to send a lot of stuff. And we've had repeat books, we've had repeat gifts, or it's just a lot of stuff that she doesn't necessarily need. And so we've had to kind of go, hey, like, let's pull back. And we've offered, we've set up a college fund of like, hey, you're welcome to donate to this if you really feel like you need to give X amount of dollars or whatever. But she's good with one gift. And I had a conversation with a family member where they're like, well, I just really want her to know that she's loved. And I was like, I promise you, she knows she's loved, and she'll really know she's loved when she doesn't have debt down the road. So, walking that fine line of like, send her stuff that you want, but then also like, let's not overdo it, was one of the boundaries we had to set. But aside from that, her birth mom's awesome about sending, a perfect little box with a couple things. And we have an Amazon wish list that we'll share with her that's kind of updated. And I'll text her every now and then, like, okay, she's in the size, 7, 11 shoe. This is her favorite color. This is her favorite show. So she kind of has a rundown of like, these are the things she's into right now. And so, yeah, so they'll send gifts for her. And then when we do Christmas cards, when we're good about it, we'll mail one to them so they get it as well, and are just kind of included in our loop like everybody else would be.
Yeah, I love that you were able to set the boundaries and she's able to honor that. And it still gives her that opportunity to acknowledge this child as she's also going through her own Christmas experience every year with a child she's not parenting, that she made this plan for and knows inside and out from top to bottom this child
Mm-hmm.
is thoroughly loved, stable, safe, has
Yeah.
the whole world, right? Everything
Yeah.
a child should have. And yet, still, we know that especially at Christmas time, it can bring up those kind of bittersweet feelings, especially for birth moms.
Mm-hmm.
And so, for her to be able to like go through that moment of like actually knowing the shoe size, actually knowing what's going on with her daughter, and being able to be more intentional about the shopping, not a shot in the dark,
Yeah.
and keep it contained as well. And I think that's a great balance for, with honoring, because obviously maybe their family culture has like a lot of gift giving, a lot of stuff,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like just
Yeah.
shower people with stuff. And there are a lot of people that are kind of moving away from that,
Yeah.
because our houses are just so full of things,
Mm-hmm.
so we want to focus more on like experiences and planning for the future and like the college fund and everything, but you're still giving them that space for
Right.
their how they celebrate and how they show love. And that's very telling that they were like, we just want her to know she's loved.
Right.
And for you to be able to communicate back, she does. And you can still give her something, just not
Right.
like 50 gifts.
Well, and
Yeah.
it's really uncomfortable to set those boundaries, and like you don't want to
Yeah.
hurt feelings, and you're like, what their intention is, but you're also trying to, keep your own sanity. And so we had to have that conversation, and feelings were hurt with the family member that we kind of had to, hey, pump the brakes. But at the same time, like, I don't want to become resentful. I don't want this to hinder our relationship. So we need to have those boundaries, and they need to be respected for our relationship as a whole moving forward. And they'll get on board because they still want to be involved, but there might be some sadness or hurt feelings, and you just kind of have to go in with your best intentions and move forward. If there needs to be dialogue, they're welcome to bring it up. But I don't want all of this stuff. She doesn't need all of this stuff. And I've always encouraged them to like send cards, write letters. Like I have a binder that keeps track of all the cards and letters that she's had over the years, so that way she can gain insight as to what life looked like for her birth mom throughout those years as she was growing up, and that sense of connection of, hey, they loved me, they were thinking about me. And so I have this binder of these special words that I can give her, and it also doesn't take up space in my house.
Yeah. I love that.
Nice
And
and
you know,
organized.
I feel like that is such a great tip, whether it's adoption related or not. Um, you can like learn about, well, how do we communicate with extended family that we don't do a million presents in our house
Hmm.
and we like to keep things orderly and we maybe live in a smaller space and we don't want everything
Hmm.
overflowing. And again, we're kind of moving away from that materialistic aspect of having all the stuff, right? And
Yeah,
just having like what we need, use, and love. And
right.
so maybe conveying that like that's our, our way of going about life when it comes to things. I think that when it comes to, the gift giving and even birthdays or Christmas time, whether adoption related or not, there are tips out there online. Like if you look up minimalism and how to
Mhm.
convey this to extended family, that we don't want a lot of things. Like one gift is perfectly fine. It conveys your love. It conveys you were thinking about them, and you can make it really meaningful. There are a lot of tips for how to navigate that with friends and family who, again, well-meaning,
Yeah.
but kind of missing
Well,
the
and her
mark.
her
Yeah.
birth mom hit it out of the park for her birthday, and that she got her like a couple things, but then she also had gifted her cash. And my own personal sister like hates the idea of gifting cash, but my daughter's at an age now where we've been talking about money and teaching her money, and so then she goes to Target and picks out her gift, and so she has so much fun doing that, and it's a new experience. And so of course we filmed it and sent it to the birth mom of like, this is what she bought with her birthday money. And so it was a fun experience to see her get excited, to see her get to buy what she wants, to learn the concept of saving money and spending money. And once again, it wasn't it, it wasn't bombarding with things. And so that was great. You sent a couple gifts, and then gave her cash, and it was perfect.
I love that. I love that. And our conversation today has gone all the way from that moment when you're going through the holidays and Christmas rolls around and you don't even know if God is bringing a baby to you, to like you are now taking all the action steps and actively waiting. And Uncle Fred makes his comment at the table, and you're really good
Mhm.
at deflecting or a one-liner that you can throw
Yeah.
back. You're so ready for it. On to now, the present day, where you're talking about like, here are some practical parenting tips that are specifically related to adoption. And I love the video idea, especially. I
Mhm.
think that is just so perfect. And then how you manage the gift giving too. So we've covered a lot of bases today. And I want to
Yeah.
ask you, Marianne, what would you say to someone listening today who is walking into Christmas with empty arms or, a heavy heart? They're back at chapter one right now.
Yeah. Um, I mean, they're gonna hate me, but it all happens for a reason. It all happens how it's supposed to. Like it's so cliche and it's so frustrating to hear in the midst of it because everybody has told you that, but it truly is. It all happens how it's supposed to. We make plans and God laughs. That had things unraveled the way we had it planned for them to from day one, we wouldn't have the child we have today. And she fits into our family perfectly. And I'm the mother she needed. We're able to provide her things that she needs that we specifically can provide for her. And so it all happens for a reason, and the waiting period sucks. There's nothing to
It's
it.
the
Like
worst,
there's
whether short or long, right? It's
yeah, and
the
and
worst
hearing
part.
that, hearing somebody just acknowledge like, yeah, it does. Like there's no words to make it feel better. That those feelings are all valid, but it's all worth it. It all happens for a reason, and when that time comes, you'll go, yep, it does.
Yep, that's right. You'll be the one telling someone else that.
Yeah. So yeah,
And
cliche but true.
there's a reason it's a cliche, right? Because it
Mhm.
is so true. And looking back over those, difficult Christmas seasons, where do you see God's faithfulness most clearly now? Like, what do you see with such crystal clear transparency now looking back over your story, knowing what timing God had for you and knowing how perfectly He worked it out?
Well, like I said, like it really just happened how it's supposed to. My daughter has needed special things, special tools, special therapy that, with my background as a teacher, I've specifically been able to provide her. And so, I mean, she and I were just meant to be together. And so knowing that that's how it unfolded, knowing that like there was a bigger plan ahead, like it just makes sense that she's with us. And her birth mom is somebody who I think has really appreciated our dynamic, has needed us in her life as well. And so it's just we were meant for each other, both our daughter and the birth mom, and so it all unfolded how it's supposed to be. So just having to trust that process of the one that's meant for me will be there, and it's going to happen. If it had happened earlier, we wouldn't be in the place where we are, surrounded by family, or where we were financially to provide those things. Like, there were certain things that came up, job changes and relocations, that would have just been so much more difficult if we'd had a child then. And so it really all happens how it's supposed to happen.
Absolutely. And MaryAnne, share if there's anything else on your heart, be sure to share that now.
Yeah.
And I do want you to share where people can find you, where they can contact you if they have, questions or just want to connect.
Yeah, well, so there's openlyparenting.com, and there's also a contact page on that. And then through the Instagram as well, Openly Parenting. But I think the most important thing to hear is that you're not alone, and these mixed feelings that you have are completely valid, and you're not a bad person for feeling jealous or frustrated or having this feeling of longing, but just remember to bring yourself back to the present, that don't miss those special moments over your frustrations. Give yourself space to feel those feelings, but also make sure you bring yourself to the present and focus on, oh, this is my favorite dessert, and oh, my dad told the silly joke for the 100th time, and this is our favorite game to do, and focus on those little things that you can enjoy.
Great advice. I love it. So, MaryAnne, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your heart this Christmas. Your story, your honesty, and your hope are a gift to all of our adoptive parents listening. And to our listeners, whatever this Christmas looks like for you, whether you're celebrating, waiting, or grieving, remember you're not alone, and there is hope, and there is purpose, and God is near. God is especially near to the brokenhearted. And be sure to check out MaryAnne's blog at openlyparenting.com and follow her on Instagram at openlyparenting. And if you're not already, be sure to subscribe to Let's Talk Adoption at our website, letstalkadoption.com, and you can drop us a line right there through the site. And from all of us at Let's Talk Adoption and MaryAnne too, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Thank you.
And we'll see you next time.